I want to do another panorama here of two pictures, not three, where we have a picture of a beach resort town, and this is the left picture, and this would be the right picture with the rest of the hill mass going off down out into the horizon line of the ocean. Now, see this rock right here? That's going to be our pivot point, because that rock there is this rock here in the first picture. So we're at 6x4 format, so I'm going to go to the beach left, which is the image there, the layer, and add another layer, and that layer we'll call the canvas. And I'm going to stretch the canvas in to fit the new format. And to do that, then I'm going to say image canvas size, and I'm at 6.4, so let's go out to 12. Probably don't need that much. I'm going to push from the left out to the right, and so when I do that, then I get my new canvas with this half on the left and the other half on the right. So now what I have to do is go to the right picture. There it is. Command A on the keyboard gets marching ants around the whole picture, and then the Command C copies it to the clipboard. Then I go back to the first image, and I'll make another layer here and call that layer Beach Right. B-E-A-C-H-R-I-G-H-T, and I'm at Beach Right. And now I'm going to do the paste Command V as in Victor, paste it in. And so when I pull this back, you can see that they're going to come right up here together here to join each other. Now, one other thing that you ought to remember about panoramas, and it's especially true here, is look at the density of these pictures. This one on the left is lighter than the one on the right, even though they were taken at virtually the same moment, just moving the camera. But down the road, it got to be a little darker, so on the beach right one, I'll have make sure that's selected. And I'll come up here to Image, Adjust, Levels. And that brings up the levels thing. And remember, here's the dark shadows, here's the medium tones, and here is the light tones. The dark one, now I'm working on, I've got the beach right active, so I'm going to move the dark shadows back to the mass of the black here. That's the electronic outprint of this image. And then the real work's done here with the gray tones in the middle. And I'm going to lighten them, or going to the right darkens, and to the right left lightens them. And I don't want to go too light, because you can see the difference there, or too dark, you can see the difference there. So I'm just going to slide this until the difference becomes about the same for both sides, about there. And then I hit OK on the button there, and then I'm getting pretty close. Now I need to get close here into the picture, so I'm going to take my magnifying tool and get a little closer, and I can either just take the picture here. I'm on beach right. Now, I haven't brought the opacity down yet, but I can almost pick this thing up and put it where the rocks go. See where I'm looking at the rocks right here, and I'm also looking at the beach and the houses up in here. And I think maybe it'd be better to take the beach to that line and get that straight. Now it's a little off here. Use my arrow tool down, touch. It's a little off here, but remember, if I turn beach right off, I've got this much space to go with, and you want to put me a guideline out here and say you can go that far. Oh, see, there's a building right there. I'm going to go just to the side of that building right there. I can go that far and still, erase back. And so the beach is in line here. It still looks a little light here. I'm going to go back to beach right, Image, Adjust, Levels, and perhaps darken this just a touch. There, about there, yeah. Okay, and so I get that so they're matching enough. And now I'm going to go into here with my eraser tool, and I got the beach right on because I'm going to erase the beach right and see the beach left underneath it. And perhaps I'll get just a little bit bigger of a brush. And then I'll come in here and I'll see, as I erase here, the sky, the line, the hill just sort of meets it, and I can erase up into there and get the clouds back on time. Come down here and say, let's just erase a little bit of this, and that this actual beach lines up pretty good. Now see down here in the rocks, I'm going to erase these rocks, even these rocks here, and they revert to the rock on the lower level, the first layer, and everything comes back into play, and it evens out. Even down here in these rocks and the water down below, I pulled up the red box in my navigators all the way at the bottom, and I've taken all the way that out. If I turn beach left off, you can see what I've done is I've erased out through the rocks and down through here, and I'll turn that back on again. Okay, now I'm also going to look and see these little dark blue, light blue streams here. I'm going to go out into those a ways, and they begin to merge even better. Now, don't go all the way to the end of my mark here, but I can go there, and that straightens those out. And I don't see anywhere else where it might, well, maybe right here I can straighten them out a little bit. So I've merged it together. Now let's look up at the top in the clouds. You see there's a little dark edge here. Take that dark edge and maybe just back that. See, it seems to be dark on the edge. I'm going to back that all the way up almost to my guideline. And then when I pull it back together here and I'm looking at the whole thing, I'll take the guideline out again. I don't need that there anymore. Now notice when I raise the beach up, I also raise the picture down here. I don't need this anymore, so let's take the marquee and come back here and pull a marquee to the edge of the picture. And then image crop. I'm going to crop away this outside piece, and that's there. Now Command D will take away the marching ants. I'm going to get really close down here to my that little white spot there because I raised it up in getting the beach to line up here. So now what I have to do is join these two pictures together, the beach right and beach left. Although the beach, I will eventually do that, but it looks like everything that needs to be done is on beach right. All right, so let's take too big a brush. Let's come down a ways, and I'm going to take just information over here and some of this white water, and I'll just merge the white water and soupy water together here. And now right in here there's some rock and some open bubbles and stuff. These rocks here, I've got surf crashing through there, so let's put the crashing surf, extend that out, and then maybe take some of this crashing surf and just bounce it around these lower rocks until it comes together and does its there. Now it's looks like it's sweeping around those rocks, and then build back to the more bubbly surfy stuff here. And see, I got a little piece of doubling going on there, so I'll just take that double out, and then take this soupy rock that's splashing off for the other side of whatever it's doing, and I've come to the end. I've got a repeat here, so I'm just going to take some of this white water and take that repeat out. There's another thing and we've actually then completed the bottom part of that thing. If I slide back out, I can see that the whole picture now is square to the canvas size. I've done this before we started, but you might want to check this. The water that is the horizon line, that should be straight. I straightened that out for sure that the camera wasn't tilted or anything, so if I put that there, you can see that that horizon line is straight, because if it's tipped or it's not level, it looks wrong. So that would complete then this element of putting a panorama of two pictures together to get the long stretch of the beach and houses and hotels, and then the landmass gets shorter and shorter until you see this distant cliff head out in here, and the water works to its place. You might even go further. I've got a finished one here where there's, let's see, here's a picture of that same scene, but notice I put a cruise ship in there. See, here's the ship, and I've cut that out from another place, and I brought it in, and it still has to have some more cutout being done, where across the top here there's this information of the ship. It's a little more substantial. I'm going to take my erase tool and get a very small erase tool, and this is how I work on some of the edges of that ship, especially where there's little small devices that I can move a little brush around. But this is the mast of that ship, and I'm just taking it away. I've cut the skylines, the original sky, back, and now what I'm doing is I'm erasing it, so all I can see is the masthead of the ship. And as I come around this mast and antennas and things, what's being erased, other than I'm keeping the mast of the ship, is behind here is just green and hillside. Now to take it out faster, I'll come back in after I've taken my initial cut around these antennas. Now you're not going to be able to see these antennas from way far away, but sometimes it's easier to take it with initially with the eraser tool than it is with the rest of the ship. But I'll see, I've got to finish off the sky here and down there, but I have taken the sky off the front of the ship here. There was a shadow in the water that the ship had when it was wherever I got it from, and I just melted with the eraser tool, I melted that shadow in. And so eventually what you have is a picture. Now ships don't, there's no dock there for it to go to, but if you were going to make a point there, there's with the ship, there's without the ship. And so that's one thing that might happen with this particular panorama. Now, another thing I want to show you is a double picture. Here's a picture that is a Hawaii beach scene. I'm going to pull a guy down here, and you see that surf line is a little, surf meeting on the reef out here is a little off. So I'm actually going to take this picture, turn on the bounding box with the show transformer controls up here, take the rotate point and put it right here where the sea meets that little structure on the beach there, and then turn the picture just a little, ever so slightly, to level out the surf out there on the horizon line. Now when I've done that, whoops, let's see, I said don't do that, and I should do it. Let's see, let's go back to, I'm gonna have to tilt it again. All right, let's do that again, where I take the rotate point and move it over here, and then just virtually turn this thing until it's level. Now when I go to my anchor or my move tool, I said don't apply, but apply, and it sits in place. Now what I'm going to do is I've got blue sky and sand and stuff around there. I'm going to take another marquee and come in here and just trim inside of those turn marks. And let's see, I've got a little off up in here. Let's try that again so I get less sky. And what I'm doing is making this picture more square. Okay, so now I've got the picture taken care of. I'm going to go to Image, Crop, and now I have chopped away all that edge that I made when I tilted the picture. I don't need this guideline anymore, so I'll take that out. Let's check the picture. Image size. Okay, it's I like to have something with well, it was a 6. I cut it down a little bit, so let's go back to a 6. And 400 DPI, that works. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another layer. And this is an interesting effect that I'm working on. And that layer is going to be what I call the canvas. And I'm going to make the canvas then active and image canvas size. And canvas, I'm going to take it out to 12 and push it to the left this side. Hit it on the right and it's going to go to the left. Okay, now I've got that half the picture is this island. Now here's the effect I'm aiming for. The original beach scene, grab that layer, pull it down to the make new layer box, and when there's something already on the layer, it makes a copy, and it's called beach copy, and it's sitting right on top. Beach copy, I'm going to take the under edit, I'm going to go to transform and down to flip horizontal. That means it's going to flip the second one, or the copy, from left to right, and it just switched, but it's on top of the old one. So now what I'll do is I'll grab this picture and drag it out and then butt it up against each other, something like that. And look what I've done. I've created a isthmus leading out to the island. Now this could be your background for any number of things that you're going to put in the foreground. This becomes an interesting double take, a symmetrical looking bunch of palm trees. I'm going to take these two and select the beach copy and hold down the option key and select also the beach one, the original. And then in the option area, I'm going to click on that and say merge those two layers. Now here's what I'm going to do, and the reason I do that is because generally when you put something like this together, whether it's an island or a mountain scene or whatever, where they come together, I'm going to get close on that. It makes this look like an alligator, you know, with his eyes and his mouth and his nose, and there's a lot of stuff going on over there. So I'm going to clean that up a little bit, and I'm going to bring out my cloning tool. Now you see like this tree right in here, it got cut off. So I'm going to take some of this blue sky that's in the same level right here and come over here and just take out that tree and make it look like the palm trees are growing from there and there. And this little piece up in here, that looks kind of too crowny symmetrical, so I'll take that out. In the rocks, I'm going to take out these little circles or dots that makes it look like eyes or nose or ears. Look like this, eyes and face looks like a koala bear. So I'm going to take out some of that information just so it doesn't show up and say, you know, oh golly, that's way too symmetrical. And maybe take some of these bushes and just fiddle this symmetrical stuff in here so it isn't quite so obvious. Now, when I back up, I see what used to be this half here is now water on both sides and a peninsula leading out to this island. And so that would be another form of a panorama using two pictures, but exactly a symmetrical left and right. Now there's one other thing I want you to see that you can do in manipulating images here is this is a picture taken on a wall. There's a glass front to this picture, and if I took it straight on to make a copy or an image of it, I'd get reflection off the glass. So what I did is I shot it at an angle. Now remember, because it's at an angle, there's a compression going on here. And this compression is going to have to open up like an accordion getting wider. So this bridge is not as narrow in the reality as it is in this angle. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some guidelines and put at the edge of the picture that does not cover this brown mat. And I'm going to put one right here at that corner and another one down here at this corner where they come together. Now, I'm going to back off a little bit so you can see what I'm doing with the bounding box. I'm going to take, with my move tool, I'm going to go to Edit, into Transform, and down to Distort. Now, the Distort tool will give you the ability to grab these handles and move them one at a time. So that I can pull this up and bring that brown stripe level with this line right here. And then I can come down here and grab this one and bring that level. And it's not quite level. You see I'm paralleling it here. And up the top I've got to rearrange that a little bit more because it slid as I pulled the bottom one. And so after you do some adjusting on both sides, and pull a little here, pull a little there, you see now if I move this line over, well I've got them level here. Now I'll say to the move tool, apply that. Now I'm going to take this guy, this guideline, and back him up here straight and see if the other end is straight, seemingly pretty straight. All right, so I'm getting this thing so its four corners are actually 90 degrees. This one right here I think needs to be touched, so I have to start again, Edit, Transform, and Distort, and then I'm going to pull this one up just a touch, and it levels it out. Okay, so I'll say apply that, and I've squared it off, but I need to finish off the effect here, so I'm going to take my guidelines back out of the way, and let's see, get all the guidelines gone. Now I'm going to actually get a hold of this bounding box and pull it and stretch it out. Now see that covered bridge getting wider? That's really how it was in real life. And I can't go any further there within that framework, so I'm going to back up and stretch it out to there. Now it's about where it was if I would have taken it straight on. The last thing I'm going to do is, because I've moved it, I have to apply that. And then I'm going to take my marquee and come inside of the matting. I don't need to have the frame. I could rebuild the frame if I wanted to on my own. And then come back down here and say, let's see, it wasn't quite straight, but you're not going to really notice that. And I'm going to go quickly here, but you could pay attention to it and make sure that everything is straight. Now there's the picture. Image, crop, and all the outside goes away. And now I have a picture that's more the way it was when I first saw it. Command D takes out the marching ants. I'm going to go up here to Image and Adjust and Brightness. And I'm going to make it just a little brighter. It seems to be a little dark. You don't want to go way bright, but I'm going to go a little lighter. It's a late, clear autumn morning. And so I have that now. Here's the picture. It's much more in proportion to the way it really was. And I'm not sure what the size is. Image size, it's 11 inches by, let's bring this down to 10 inches, which is a common marking. And then the resolution, let's pull that up back to 400. And let this just come at 5.5 something. And so now I have, it's a little larger because I added to the resolution. And I'm thinking maybe a little more brightness. Instead of brightness, I'm going to go to levels. And bring my tones, my dark tones back to the mass. And then the slider here, the lighter, just open up a little bit. Maybe pull this light tones in a little bit. Okay. And so that gives me my final squared off, more realistic. If I was going to take this and make catalog pages for this art place, then I've got a pretty good image to go there. So these panoramas, the beach one is a panorama. The island where we put one side to the other is sort of a panorama. It's doubling the size, but it's very symmetrical. And then this angling and pulling and twisting as if it were plastic paper helps us to take something that's odd shaped and put it back into square corners.